What is going on with Polygon Matic? What's happening with the POL token? What's happening with the Matic token? Is there adoption? Why is Polygon Matic underperforming the rest of the market long term? Let's have a look whether or not this can turn around. Let's have a look at some usage metrics most people are not considering. Now, across all chains, Polygon Matic is the 12th largest in terms of total value locked. So that's a measure of how much money is deployed in DeFi on the chain. It's smaller than Aptos, it's smaller than Hyperliquid, and it's just battling with Pulse Chain. So the blockchain launched by Richard Hart, by the Hex founder. Have a look at the development in the last 7 days. Polygon was not necessarily an outperformer. And have a look at the total value locked development in the last month. Pulse Chain doubled, Cardano doubled, Hyperliquid doubled, but Polygon Matic is barely tagging along with 18%. This is really a problem. At its heights, Polygon Matic had 10 billion of total value locked. Now it's just a bit over 1 billion. And across all blockchains, across all of DeFi, we are now very close to the heights of 2021. We do not see that recovery in Matic. Yes, one might say when we look at all of the chains, because new chains have been launched, that things like Base, of course, take away some of the capital. So the total value locked on Base continues to steadily climb. It's currently at 4 billion, so 40% of the heights where Polygon Matic once was. But really, that's a bad excuse, because when we look at players like Solana, that is already close to its all-time high of 2021 of total value locked. And long term, those kind of numbers really matter. This here is now Matic relative to Solana. And in the last 2 years, Polygon Matic underperformed Solana by 96.6%. The decision what chain to follow has that much of an impact. Now, Polygon Matic is a layer 2 on top of Ethereum, so it makes sense to look at the price relative to ETH. In general, it makes sense for a lot of altcoins to compare them to Ethereum, because Ethereum has a very high correlation to various altcoins. Check this out. This is the correlation coefficients of Bitcoin versus various altcoins. So that's here the first column, and of Ethereum versus various altcoins. It tends to be true that the number in the second column is larger than the number in the first column. In other words, Ethereum has more correlation with the alts than Bitcoin does. And that simply means that Ethereum tends to move in similar directions to the altcoins, much more than Bitcoin does. And so for Matic, that's no different. This is the correlation coefficient over time. This year, we only saw positive correlation coefficients, but even prior to that, most of the time, Matic moved quite similarly to Ethereum. What this means is that the altcoins, and especially Polygon Matic, competes for the same part of your portfolio. If the two kinds of assets move in the same direction at the same time, it doesn't really make sense to buy both in order to diversify, right? We cannot diversify when the assets move in the same direction. Thus, we have to decide, what do we rather want to hold? Do we rather want to hold Ethereum, or do we rather want to hold Polygon? And the answer might be in this chart. This is the long-term Matic versus Ethereum chart. And yes, at the beginning, there was a lot of Matic adoption, and Matic outperformed ETH quite a bit. This tended to peak in 2021. This is the DeFi summer. Afterwards, we went sideways. But in the last 2 years, Matic also underperformed Ethereum. Not by as much as to what we have seen with Solana, but still minus 82%. Where does all of this negative momentum come from? It comes from tokenomics changes. So we have talked about this in prior videos on this channel. People thought that the token inflation for Matic was over in 2022. So there were all those unlocks. The insiders made a lot of money by selling Polygon Matic. But then came the conversion of Matic to POL. And the new POL token does have inflation. The inflation is not huge, but still it's some kind of a breach of trust. Now that could be overcome if Matic had its real good use case. Unfortunately, we don't have that use case. The largest tokens on Matic are still wrapped Ethereum and USDC and the native POL token. There's really nothing big happening on Polygon Matic. There used to be, right? There was Polymarket. There was all this money that was betting on the presidential election. With the outcome of the presidential election, that also went down. And still, in the grand scheme of things, right, this is only 500 million. And we are talking about several billions of market cap that are needed to revive Polygon. Compare this, for example, with the Base chain, right, that continues to grow. Base does have a story. Base is now all about artificial intelligence. There is the AI Launchpad virtual protocol. There is the AI Agents game. There is the AI Agent Luna. There is AI XBT. There is Imagine AI. This is what Base is all about, and this is where the growth is coming from. Or have a look at Solana, right? Solana is not AI focused. Solana is meme coin focused, but still there is something happening. This generates trading volume. This generates revenue. This generates returns for the liquidity pool providers. The Polygon blockchain does not have that. The new blockchain by Polygon, right? The ZK EVM chain also was pretty much a flop. The trading volume in the last 24 hours was only 2.5 million. That's pretty much nothing. The base chain has 2.3 billion. So that's almost 1,000 times the trading volume. It really looks like Polygon Matic gets crushed in the competition. There are so many cheap layer 2 platforms now. They all compete for your capital. They all compete with cheap transaction fees. And in the early days, Polygon had more than 10% of the entire DeFi total value locked. Now this shrunk so much that it's not even visible anymore in this overview. It's just listed under others. Now there is one thing that's for Polygon Matic, and that's simply the retail attention. Whenever I publish a video on Polygon Matic, it tends to outperform average videos, and we still see a lot of YouTube search traffic. So this video published 11 days ago got 3.6 times the views of an average video. Well, have a look at this one. It also got 46% more views. So the retail investor is still interested, but I'm not sure if that interest is warranted, if it still makes sense to buy Matic. I need to see a DeFi platform that sees continued adoption, that sees a lot of growth, something like Polymarket, but ideally not something that simply just turns off after a certain event. Now things are hyper bullish right now, right? Bitcoin continues to make one high after the next, and pretty much every altcoin is appreciating right now. It almost feels like because there's so much correlation within crypto that it doesn't really matter what we buy. What we see over here is the others dominance. So how much of all of crypto is in the altcoins that's not in the top 10 in terms of market cap. And that's growing very nicely, very steadily in the last days. And I see this in the statistics of this crypto channel as well. Nobody was interested in crypto just a few weeks ago, and suddenly we're spiking up in terms of attention again. And so yes, it's true that everything tends to go up, but there are still ways to outperform. So for example, over here, this is the meme coin market, and in the last 7 days, AI16Z more than doubled. Yes, Bitcoin went up as well, but it definitely did not double. Now it's at a price of 43 cents. But the question is, how can we get into a token like AI16Z before it doubles? How can we find out about tokens like this early? And what I personally like to do is I like to follow other influencers. I like to follow insiders. I like to follow people that tend to move the markets, especially for those very small tokens. So have a look at this. Kyle Chessy bought AI16Z on the Jupiter exchange on Solana for 1.8 cents. And he didn't just buy once, he bought several times. Since then, the price went up by more than 2,000%. Now, who is Kyle Chessy? He's an influencer that tends to buy tokens very early, where of course not every single token makes these kinds of returns, but it's a bit like VC investing, right? You make 10 bets, you hope for 2 of those bets to make returns like this, and you're okay when the other 8 out of those 10 bets don't work out as well. So here we go, here is his channel. He's got 138,000 subscribers, and we track 12 of his wallets. So this is how wallet tracking works, right? You use on-chain analytics to find out who owns what wallet. And once you've got the wallet, you put this in a tracker. And then whenever this wallet makes a transaction, whenever this wallet buys or sells, we get an automatic notification. We are not just tracking Kyle Chessy, we also track Crypto Banter, for example. They've got 1.1 million subscribers. When they talk about a token, especially a small cap token, that token definitely goes up because there's a lot of attention on the token, right? Attention equals purchases, purchases equal a higher price. We've got 33 of Crypto Banter's wallets. And we're also tracking, for example, Alex Becker. He's got 1.5 million subscribers. We've got 12 of his wallets. And so really, I believe this is the way to beat the crypto market. It's to know more than most. It's not just to pick random tokens in a list, hope that they will make a 2-3x in this bull run. It's actually to be early. It's so early that most people don't know about this yet. I believe in this strategy so much that I made 8 dedicated tutorial videos just on wallet tracking. So how can we find influencer wallets? How can we track them? And how can we then also interpret the signals that we get from the tracking? It's all part of the premium membership of this channel. The link is is down below, thebitcoinstrader.com. Premium is not just about wallet tracking, it's also about backtesting, it's also about macro indicators, it's also about risk mitigation, portfolio diversification, etc. There's more than 100 tutorial videos in total in Premium. And so yeah, people are very happy. Feel free to stop this video over here and read this feedback. The most important thing is, of course, once we have those kind of signals, that we also get some feedback from the rest of the community, right? That we discuss when should we buy, when should we sell, what are the current on-chain analytics. That's why I've got dedicated chats on the individual altcoins as well. So feel free to check it out. Feel free to invest some of the gains to make the portfolio grow even faster. There's also a 1-week money back guarantee. So in case you don't like Premium, just message me within the first week and I will refund you 100%. You really have zero risk. Does it still make sense to buy the Matic token now? I'm not so sure. I'm not sure if Polygon Matic can really outperform the rest of the market. We do see a lot of momentum with Solana. We do see a lot of momentum with Base. All of the capital now is flowing to those two places. For Matic to see real outperformance, I believe we need to see a decentralized application that gets adoption. We need to see something like Polymarket, but ideally not a DeFi application that just dies once a certain event is hit. I want to see something like meme coins for Solana or AI tokens for Base. I want to see something where Polygon Matic can shine. Maybe it could be crypto gaming, for example. Until we see that kind of application, I personally stay away. But again, the tokenomics aren't too bad. So simply just in order to ride the wave, as in general, if you think that all of crypto is going up, then of course the Polygon Matic price will also go up with it. If you got some value out of this video, feel free to subscribe. I publish videos regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you in the next video or see you in Premium. Cheers.